Hey there, guys. How are y'all tonight?
All
All right,
right,
how
how's
you
it
doing?
going?
All right.
Good, pretty good. This is Chantaye McLaughlin, and we have our General Tshaka and Dr. McCorby tonight. So I'm going to mute myself really quickly.
Awesome. Good
Tonight's show,
afternoon.
go ahead and introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
Uh, I'm General Shaka Sankofa of the Street Law Soldiers, Washington D.C., which is a organization, adult and youth organization geared to address the needs and adhere to the ills that plague the Black community. And I go around I do lectures. We give away food, we give away clothing, we refer people to drug treatment. Uh, we deal with mental health. We deal with life skills, vocational skills, uh, to train and to instruct our youth as well as some of our adults in terms of how to, plug into society and be a productive member, and to erase all mood altering chemicals and things that in the community that has um, escalated the level of mental health that exists in our community, which is at epidemic levels. So um,
That's amazing,
that's it.
Shaka. Where are you located, Shaka?
We're in Northeast DC.
That's amazing work. Dr. McCorby, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Michael McCorvey. I'm the executive director and founder of the National Association of Black Defenders. We're also located in DC. I'm right there at 1717 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest. And my office suite is 1056. And what we do, we are the human rights and social justice advocate for justice. I call it the advocate for justice. We work with a lot of attorneys throughout the country when it comes to prison reform, when it comes to criminal justice reform, and we also work with a lot of people when it comes to even right now the stress of false imprisonment. So, DACA, we need more soldiers in the field of serving, and that's what it's all about right now. The service that we can give to our community, how we can rebuild our community. So we're here for you. We're here to serve our people, in the most needed time as this. So the National Association of Black Defenders, we will be celebrating an awesome weekend, August 18th through the 20th in Washington, D.C. Mark your calendars. Come to August 18th through the 20th, our office, and celebrate with us. The 18th through the 20th of August. We wanted to get that in and say that because that's very important.
Shameful plug. Shameful plug. You want to plug? So tonight's topic is the right to a speedy and fair trial. Like so often people are talking about, like earlier today, what had me bring Dr. McCorby into this conversation is because earlier today we were on the call with someone and we were discussing how if people knew their rights before going to trial, then they'd be able to navigate a lot easier if they have false sentencing. So, Dr. McCorby, Shaka, do you guys mind saying more about that? About how people are denied their due process of law and what that looks like?
Absolutely. We may. One of the things that we have to understand, and that's due process, and so many times understanding your rights, as a citizen, because before you enter the gates of incarceration, you are a citizen. Even after you enter the gates of incarceration, you are still a citizen, and you still have rights, and as long as you have your health and your well-being, you have the right to exercise your rights. Due process, the administrative law court, even when it comes down to your First Amendment right, to your 14th Amendment right, they don't tell us that we have these rights when we become incarcerated. They feel as though we are here under some great punishment when evidently we have not even exercised our First Amendment right. You know, so that's so very important, so very important. And to hinge on that, we have to understand that the court system is not always 50% right. I'm not even going to 100%, 50% right. And we have to challenge them when it comes down to our right to a speedy trial. We have to challenge them when it comes down to a right for hearing. We have to challenge them to an evidentiary hearing. So these are some of the challenges that I talk to my leaders about and talk to my staff attorneys about on an everyday basis.
Absolutely.
Hold on, Tshaka, real quick. Before you chime in, do you mind explaining what some of the stuff that Dr. McCorvey just said? Like, what's the difference between an evidentiary hearing and a regular hearing? And what does that look like? Can you speak to that?
Well, based on my personal experience and being not only railroaded but being used as and those are just judicial lingo to those of us who are ignorant to the law and to the judicial doctrines that they sling around, and which is really based on fear. So when they approach you and tell you that they have this overwhelming amount of evidence and the best way out is to take the plea, which about 90% of cases in the Black community end up in plea bargains because of fear of what has been told to them and their lack of education and knowledge of the judicial system, that they fear going to trial for fear of receiving the maximum sentence. In other words, they'll tell you to go ahead and take this conviction and cop to this. And then some of a lot of our people want the quickest way home without understanding the repercussions and the stigmas and all the barriers that are going to be put up once you accept these convictions. So they usually, scare us into taking these deals. So you either take the 2 years. If you try to fight it, you're going to get 10 just for trying to fight it. Whether they have evidence or not, you still going to get the 10. And it's not really for fighting it. It's for the cost that it takes to pay for jurors, the cost that it takes to pay for the stenographers and things of that nature. That bill is on you. Like, once again, I was telling you a couple of shows ago that sentencing and PSIs are based on not just your criminal history. That's the last part of it. It's actually based on your credit history, your ties in the community, your family ties, your employment history. And then they weigh all of that out to see whether you'll be more of an asset on a chain gang making couches for IKEA, or whether you're a liability in the streets, in society, so to speak.
That's real deep. Dr. McCorvey, you can jump in. This is a conversation, not an interview. Tshaka's been on here before, so he kind of understands the format. And it's a little noisy in my household today. Today was the first day of school, and the cleaning lady's here, and we just got a lot going on today. So y'all feel free. This is a conversation.
Okay. I want to listen to Dr. McCorvey because I know he's well versed into and engulfed and entrenched, and 10 toes down in this judicial realm. So, if I can add anything, to his dialogue, I won't hesitate to do so. But I would love to hear and be more educated on his experiences and his missions, and how can, we assist him and collaborating and to put together some things so we can all work, as a united front and try to combat some of these situations that have held, that has millions of our brothers and sisters behind enemy lines. So,
absolutely. And Dr. McCorvey, just please share to the right about the evidentiary and the different types of hearings and the right to a speedy and fair trial. So take it away, Doc.
Okay. One thing I want to point out first is that Tshaka is very right. A lot of us, when we don't understand our rights, when we don't understand that we do have rights to speedy and fair trial, when we don't understand that we have right to an evidentiary hearing, what that means to us, then they feel that they have the upper hand on us. I want you to watch this now. And by feeling that way, well, they'll put your case off months at a time because they feel they have the upper hand. Now, I'll give you a good example. On today alone, I talked to an attorney in Louisiana. Okay, I'm in Louisiana right now. And this attorney told me, he said, look, he said, we have enough evidence to put your client away for the rest of his life. I said, okay, I challenged that. Okay, I said, show me what you have. Then he goes back behind the chamber. He comes back. Well, we don't want to bring out everything today, but we're going to put this case off until another 3 months until we come up with something. That told me right then he didn't have anything like he said he had what he had. Okay, so you have to watch the language. Just because they say, and some of the attorneys are some of the greatest liars in the world, just because they say they have something, don't mean they have anything. And we can't just fold our arms. Okay, they got me. No. Challenge them. Challenge their mind. Challenge the evidence that they have. It's about challenging them. Now, another good example. I talked to a young lady tonight in Atlanta. Okay, they wanted to give her boyfriend, husband, some time, state time, and he hadn't even been tried yet. And I told her, I said, they just locked him up. Give me a call tonight, and I guarantee you that they're gonna give him a bond, and he'll sign his own bond and walk out of jail. It happened just like I told her. Why? Because I challenged her to stand up to them and let them know that she was not just anybody coming to them. See, one thing our system does not like, that's to be challenged. Mm-hmm. They do not like to be challenged, okay? Definitely. So that's one of the things they don't like. Just a little history on the challenges that they have. I remember when my dad's first cousin, Johnny D. McMillan, I don't know if you remember the case or not, it was the case of Just Mercy. I don't know if you all saw that now. That was my dad's first cousin. I was with the NAACP at the time in Monroeville, Alabama, when that went down. My cousin had just left the cleaners when the young lady's throat was slit. Okay. Now, if it wasn't for Brian Knight of the Southern Poverty Law Center challenging that case, that young man would be in the grave by now. But at the last hour, the 11th hour, Brian and his staff challenged on this capital case the ethics and the laws are behind what was happening in this case, dealing with Johnny D. McMillan. A lot of times our court system, the failure of the court system, when they fail, and I'm gonna tell you something, in America right now, our court system is being held accountable for a lot of things, but we have to realize that if we don't challenge and defend our rights, they will always use us as a scapegoat in their system. We have to challenge them on every angle.
Let me ask you a quick question now, since you brought up the court system. How can you challenge some of these judges and their knowledge pertains to your case around sentencing and around cross-examination and just the whole process, especially without being held in contempt. Because here in Georgia, we have approximately a little bit over 1,500 judges. 1,300 plus are Caucasian males. So a brown or black woman going to jail or prison, it's difficult to get a fair trial when you don't have representation that looks like you. But the hit is in Georgia, in all of our counties, you're not required to be a lawyer to run for judge. It's just a public, it's just a public office. You run for Senate or city council, you can run for judge without being a lawyer. So how do you challenge their actual knowledge without it being another charge?
This is where the law comes in at, and this is where we have to, as an advocate of the law, we have to make sure that we hold them accountable. This is the word I want you to take note of. We have to hold them accountable for their actions. Even in the courtroom, we have to hold them accountable. How we hold them accountable? We have to, even if we have to go to a higher power. A lot of times I call on my state senators or my state representatives in Florida. I said, look, here's a case right here that shouldn't have gone to court, but you all allowed this case to go to court without evidence. How do you do this? That's the type of challenge that I'm talking about. You have to go to a higher power a lot of times, even to the Supreme Court, and challenge them in that court system. Especially in the state of Florida. Florida has some crazy laws, and a lot of times I end up challenging both judges and especially when it comes to Superior Court and District Court, and a lot of times they don't even know the law book. They're just somebody saying it with a robe on. And I'm saying, how did this man get his position and he don't even know what Article 10 of that we're talking about? How did he get in that chair? He don't even know the 14th Amendment. How did he get in this position? Why? Because going back to one thing, and I gotta say this.
Go and challenge them.
Thank you.
I had to talk to you too many times today.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, but how do you challenge them without it being contempt of court? Like, how do you really hold them to account? You said the higher powers that be, but if you're sitting there and you're facing the death penalty from someone that doesn't even know the basic case law, how do you really challenge it? Like with your reps?
Okay, this is what we have to do, and I think Brother Tshaka will agree with me. Public outcry. We have to, as a race of people, we have to get our families involved. We have to get as many people involved to rally behind us. You all, in the first of the show, you talk about a united front. We have to stand as one people, one united front, one nation under God, and we have to show them that we mean business, that we're not going to take this anymore. We're not going to take this type of punishment of our people being persecuted for nothing anymore. That one nation, we stand for oneness. So that's one of the main reasons. That's how I feel that we're going to win this battle with injustice as a nation standing as one.
Absolutely. And that's what I say each and every day. And even on my Facebook Lives, because once again, I use extreme language for the anger and rage to see the conditions of our people, and especially in prisons. A lot of people don't know the things that take place in these prisons, and then they don't have the support. I've known some brothers that didn't receive letters or visits in years, and that weighs heavy on a person's psyche. And the support that we need has to be more than just going to Walmart, getting a bunch of cardboard paper and writing free this and free that. We want this. We have to stop saying what we want and demand. If once we demand as a united front, everything will fall in place. But as long as they know, my brother. Yeah, as long as they know that it's going to be a few, we'll sift those few out. We'll deal with them severely, and show to the masses of the people, if any of you try to stand up, this is what's going to happen to you. And it's happened over and over within the last 5 or 6 decades. So, you know, if we're all together as one, that makes a total difference. But we need brothers like yourself and sisters like Chantaye who are well versed and judicial strategists, so to speak, into this thing, because just yelling and barking is not going to get it if we don't have the dialogue and we don't have the education and the information to battle these, you know, these demonic forces that are in robes and plaintiffs and, you know, even people that look like us that protect these laws. So, you know, it's mandatory that we have, you know, judicial, I call them judicial strategists that can come up with strategic plans, you know, to formulate and to organize a united front to go against these forces of evil, because this is just another wall. This is just another auction block that you go into when you're charged with something, and that determines whether you go back into slavery under the 13th Amendment or whether you go home. It boils down to just that, you know. That's right.
Tshaka, did you move to Atlanta last night? You dealing with Atlanta black politicians?
No, no. I, you know, to be honest, to be completely honest, other than my personal experiences, I've learned more in the last couple of shows that, you know, about the nooks and crannies of the judicial system. Although in prison, I did read, you know, the Maryland annotated codes, and, you know, I studied that case law, but it was just primarily for my personal case. I didn't read the case overall, you know, how it affects us all, you know, because, you know, I was just more focused on getting myself out to be able to come back and to pull others out, you know. But, you know, as I'm learning as I go, because like I always say on my shows, I will be a student forever. You know, I'll never know enough, and I sit at the feet of those who are great and griots into this. So, you know, without false pride or ego or image or anything, you know, it's very humbling to be able to be fed this type of information from, you know, not only you, Doc, but the sister as well, because this is a powerful historical conversation that we're having, because this show will, you know, 50,000 years, it will still be in existence. This is not a DVD. This can't be destroyed. And this information, hopefully, our people won't need it, but probably will need it, and they'll have something to fall back on in terms of something to build on, to once again to continue the fight, you know, once we become ancestors.
And just a quick FYI, so this show is on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to Roku as well as a third stream this month. This show will be on the Roku platform. It won't be live because it's not live right now on Roku. But all of the shows from day one will be available and accessible on Roku. So just like you're sitting at home or sitting in a hotel in Louisiana or sitting there in DC, you can plug in your Roku, click on the Our Black Media app, download it, and then you'll have access to these shows. Yeah, that's my
Doc, plug. That's excellent. And Doc, we gotta meet before I head to North Carolina on the 26th. More than likely, if I don't link up with you before the 18th, then I'll see you between the 18th and the 20th, and hopefully we'll have some time to maybe break bread and then come up with a strategy, because I have some brothers and sisters that that need your assistance greatly.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm glad he said that, and brother Tshaka, I really appreciate you, man, for your leadership. I think a lot of you, I heard a lot of great things coming from you, and your leadership in action. That's what I call it, leadership in action, and that's what we. It's not time to sit down. It's time to do what you're doing and do what my sister is doing.
Hold on. Doc, hey, Doc, your phone sounds like a robot. You're breaking up. I don't know if it's the reception. It's breaking up. It's very robotic.
Oh my goodness. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, you're right now. It's great. Yep.
Okay, good deal. What I was saying was that I hope that we can, realize that what you all are doing in your different cities is leadership in action. We have to stand up and be counted. We're showing our leadership skills in a strategic way, even in the courtroom. They have to see us in action. Let them know that we're real and that we're not going to take what was taken decades ago, and that we're going to stand for our rights in the right perspective. We're not going to allow them to dominate us, and we're out there picketing for nothing. Leadership in action, you use skills and know-how that the Almighty God has given you. One thing is very important. That is, I'm going to do a class on just our constitutional rights coming up. It's called Know Your Rights. It'll be in November of this year. So be tuned into that. It's called Know Your Rights, and I got a lot of attorneys that will during that period of time. The other thing is that we do have investigators and attorneys on staff with the National Association of Black Defenders, and they don't mind standing in the gap and doing what's necessary to win this battle of injustice. And we're reaching out to various communities and letting people know that we're here for you. We're here for the community, And again, I want to just thank my dear sister Tshaka, Chantaye, and brother Tshaka for being able to invite us to come and share this evening. So important. The more that we share, the more that we grow. We grow as one. Remember, united front, one. That's what we're going toward, right. One, a united front.
Exactly. I'm in total agreement. Now, you said November 22. What's the name of it? Something rights?
Oh, I think he said a little frozen, but he said know your rights.
Okay, yeah.
Like a master class on know your rights.
Is that going to be down there at your office?
It's going to be at the office. It'll be at the office in D.C. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to do a VIA for those that can't make it that day. I'm going to do a VIA Zoom. And I'm going to do it the way we did the one of my conferences. We had Zoom and then we had it live. So I used one convention center one and we had a live program that came out real good too. We have some attorneys that's going to be on hand with us as well, as well as activists to share in this program on knowing your rights. So mark this down. We want to really include the work of Sister McCarthy. You're doing an awesome job. Your work cannot go unnoticed. Right. We have a lot of work ahead of us, Brother Tshaka. We have a lot of work ahead of us. I tell anybody from even a biblical perspective that we have to have on the whole armor of God. That doesn't mean armor, spiritual armor. That we'll step out on the battlefield. That we're equipped and we're ready for battle. Because it's battle, and it's not time for our leaders. I'm speaking to our leaders out in America now. It's not a time for our leaders to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to pass the buck. He can do what he want to do. No, it's time for us to stand up and be counted as leaders. Because that's what has been missing on the forefront of this battle, is that we don't have enough leaders now to stand up and talk and proclaim what needs to be sacrificed. Injustice is not going to be a part of our neighborhoods, our lives, or our communities.
Exactly. And that's one of my favorite scriptures too. Take on the armor of God. That's one of my favorites. And that's what we have to do. We have to take a fearless approach and try not to. We have a tendency to want to be politically correct and censor ourselves and all of this type of stuff. Because there's no way to formally address murder, death, wrongfully convicted. There's no formal way to discuss when somebody's laying on a gurney and they're totally innocent and there's nothing nobody can do about it, or nothing we don't want to do about it because we fail, or we're so lazy and want to stay in our comfort zone because it's not us. When in all actuality, it is us. It is our children that are being child trafficking. All that, everybody's baby that has been taken is our baby. That's my baby too. That's your baby. And if we don't act and respond accordingly, this is why it keeps going. This is why they implant fear into our people. And instead of them appointing us our leaders, I talk to leaders every day on the phone. My leaders are the people I'm looking at. My leaders and heroes and sheroes I deal with every day, every single day. Those who are committed, those who eat, sleep, and squat this liberation and their desire for our people to have liberation and salvation and become emancipated. I'm talking about on all levels, whether it's economically, judicially, it doesn't matter, because we are, and all of us right now, Doc, we've been sent here by the Creator and the ancestors at this time. We could have came 100 years ago, but we were sent at this appointed time because God and the ancestors knew that those of us who are standing today are capable and have the ability to make the changes that need to be changed in our era of time before we become ancestors ourselves, and our legacy has to be passed on to the generations and the people, that are coming after us. So we just been trained to, be quiet, don't say nothing, don't rock the boat, and we need to turn the entire ship over, and until we get into that mindset, we can't do this by and by and the sweet by and by. None of that stuff didn't work. It doesn't work and will never work. It will never work. Because right now, as we speak, it's a busloads all over the United States where busloads of brothers and sisters are hidden their first time going to the penitentiaries. Some of them are going to be victims. Some of them are going to be brutally abused by not just inmates, but correctional officers and the system. And I mean, buses all over, because they usually travel at night, like an underground railroad, but it's a network. They're supported by sports, the sports industries, the entertainment industries, as well as just executive branch, judicial branch, and legislative branch. Everybody's working in conjunction, and they use people like us to be the gatekeepers. I mean, they look like us, not us. They look like us, and they appoint our leaders to us. And then none of them are they have our interests, our best interests at heart. And we've known this over and over and over again. But all they have to do is, have a sale on flat screen TV, some Air Jordans, Popeye's chicken, and have some free concerts, and they'll rock us right back to sleep.
That's right. You're absolutely right, brother. And once we understand that nothing that they do is in our favor, and that we have to do what we do for justice, and you said something that's very powerful. You know, we get the knickknacks, I call them. We get the little crumbs, and they feed us these crumbs, and before we can get through eating the crumbs, they just shut the gate on us. Another way of entrapment. So we have to wake up. We have to wake up. And as Dr. King said, we're sleeping in a dangerous time. We have to actually wake up, and this sleeping giant, and allow them to know that we are going to stand for justice. We are going to stand for equality. We are going to stand for the things that's going to free our people, and we're not going to allow. I'm going to give you a good example. While I'm on that subject matter, another thing that they use in our system is the Dow Jones Industrial and the Wall Street. Do you not know that President of America is on Wall Street and it's being bidded on Wall Street? They have all this hidden stuff on Wall Street that I can't see, but it's there. It's there. They kind of this year, and so our stock can rise to the top. How many can we get call from from one part of the state to another part of the state? Prison Service of America, they have the vans that haul people around from prison to prison. And guess what? Yours truly was able to do them 5 years ago for false imprisonment, for hauling from one state to another state to another state. Prison people, not prisoners, people, regular people that was falsely accused. But they got them on this van and told them it was going to be all right, some charges against you, but you don't have the warrant. But we're going to pick you up. Another way of enslaving you and carry you from state to state. And when they got to the last state, there was 2 weeks, no bathroom. You was shackled in the back of this bus. You was treated inhumane. So the lawsuit was, I fought the lawsuit myself, and we won in 2014. Okay, and it's more out there of the same thing happening. The judge called me personally, the federal judge called me personally. Hey, look, McCoy, I'm going to make it for you because we want you to drop this lawsuit because we understand that right now we have done something very wrong. I said, I can't drop this lawsuit. I'll be neglecting people. I'll drop this lawsuit. I go to court with this. So if I would have had the $1,000, I would have dropped the lawsuit. $1,000 for what would I have gained? But not the gain. Allowing that to happen to me. We have to. That's why we got to take a stand. We got to take a stand. I agree. We can't afford to take away nickels right now. They can bring it right now. I'm serious. They gotta bring it. Even judicial brothers, I talk to them every day. Why are you selling your people like that? You gotta stop selling each other out.
Froze up.
And look at the reality of things. Go ahead, brother. Mm-hmm.
No, you keep like you said, the robotic sound.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. It's probably my phone.
I doubt it, but, sometimes when you engage in a dialogue, like this, these things, just start happening. So I don't know if it's your phone. I just think it's outside forces, but it's not going to stop anything. But yeah, once again, brother, it's an honor to just being able to build with someone. And thanks to Chantaye, this is what I'm saying as far as the energies, man. We have Fannie Lou Hamers and all of these individuals today.
That's right.
And they're just the living manifestation of their energies. And this is why I say we come at the appointed time. And this is
I was
a
gonna say,
paid
Tshaka must have been on my
assignment.
prayer circle this morning. You must have been on my prayer circle with with one woman in particular this morning. This was our whole, like every morning at 9:30. It's about it's a group of at least 10 of us who get on a prayer circle and we FaceTime and pray. It's not just a conference call. And this morning I was like 9:40, no one's called because it's in like WhatsApp or something. So I hit the button and it called one woman, and we were the only ones on the call for like an hour. And so we just prayed. And when we were talking, we said just that, like, you know, God knew what he was doing when he was creating us in a time of child trafficking. God knew what he was doing when he created us in a time of gun violence. God knew what he was doing when he created us in a time of mass incarceration being at an all-time high and privatized prisons being the get out of jail, get rich quick scheme for the one percenters. God knew, you know, that there would be a group of us who would be chosen and favored, who could hear this conversation and be radical enough to think that we could make a difference in this conversation. So for you to talk about it tonight, you know, it's like confirmation, because we can sit in a barbershop and talk about it and discuss it like it's a conversation, or we can sit on a platform where we see one or two people's little eyeballs jumping in, knowing that this show gets about 1,000 views every week between YouTube and Facebook, and that we have 1,000 people watching us to hear what we have to say about these conversations and topics that they're scared to verbalize and vocalize, and God knew that we would do it. So it's like,
amen.
You know, you're called, you are chosen, but guess what? God doesn't equip everybody. He equips the chosen.
That's right. That's
so
right.
It ain't always fair. And right now, I feel like this is our time. We're operating in favor. And God knew that we would have these conversations, and he's just given us more and more strength to be able to move with this movement, because the revolution ain't being televised.
All right,
they
now.
support Floyd and they think that that's it. That's all that happened to them. You know, and they're missing that this is George Floyd is every day in every state, in almost every minute. There's a George Floyd going on in every state. So until we start having these conversations, until we start actually calling out the oppressor as they are, and sometimes they look like us, you know, so it takes something.
That's right. That's right.
Revolution, and if it was televised, it wouldn't work because they got commercials. So that's just another show. You know, that's another show. It's just another show like the rest of them that keep us asleep and tranquilized. But I'm honored to be chosen by God and the ancestors to be facing face to face with some of the most wickedest demonic people that ever existed in mankind. So it's, you know, I was kicked off of YouTube, and you know, and that was a celebration because of, you know, right is wrong and wrong is right these days, and we have a tendency to follow and think the wrong way is the right way. You know, I did a podcast on how even in our community, because we gotta take a lot of accountability, a lot of it. You know, how they honor and glorify and celebrate those who look like us, that bring pure death and destruction to our community in the form of rappers, drug dealers, athletes, that come into town and toss it up and make it rain in clubs, you know, sodomizing these teenage girls, posing as adults in these strip clubs and stuff like that. You know, they're celebrated. But the person who works every day, the person who grinds every day, the blue collar worker, the people that stand in courtrooms every day, the people that are up all night, you know, going online looking for certain loopholes and certain laws and certain cases, you know, are never recognized. So this is why, you know, I put all of those who are committed, you know, and I try to put them on blast. So, you know, to change the narrative, we have to change the entire narrative, because our people are under a heavy hypnosis. You know,
But,
and I don't want to.
That's a difficult task, Tshaka, because I'm one of those former people. I don't work in strip clubs. I was a waitress, but I used to love for people to come in and make it rain. And I'm the person that used to date the athletes and the entertainers. I got a baby daddy that's a famous DJ, you know, so it's like, and I met my first baby daddy in a strip club. So it's like here in Atlanta, where we make it seem like, and not just Atlanta, like there's a lot of other places, but where it becomes normalized behavior, right? And I remember meeting one of my favorite rappers of all time, and he was like in his 40s, and there was a girl, she said she was 18, and I looked young. I was 18 and she looked young. And when I saw him go upstage in the VIP with this girl, it totally changed my viewpoint of him, right? And the thing is, it's so normal in our communities. Like, I lost my virginity at 13 to an 18-year-old, and I'm just getting to the point. And the only reason I'm at that point is because I go to Salvation Army and lead a group to talk about it as molestation, because it's so normal to make it normal, where it's not molestation, it's consensual. And there was nothing consensual because your brain isn't even developed enough to consent. But in our communities, we've glorified sex and sexuality. We've glorified profit over people. We've glorified that it's easier to do the wrong thing than the right thing, because I've been that person. So sometimes I have a hard time even basking in success these days, because I know the person that I've been. I've been the drug dealer's girlfriend, you know? And so it's like thinking about life from that perspective of the hurt and the harm versus the diamonds or the stacks of money, you know? And it's like on this side of the fence, sometimes it's even harder, because it's like I could post a picture of me sitting with someone with about $50,000 in their hand and get 200 likes on social media. I post a picture of me organizing a rally, I get about 2 likes. So if you're looking for instant gratification in this day and age, standing up for justice, this ain't it. You know, there's some people who do travel the world jumping in for photo ops and stuff like that, but that's not the work. Like, I've had Jacob Blake Sr. offered to be on my show. He was like, it'll help boost the numbers. And I told him, I said, I can't profit off your son and off your family's misery. He was like, it's okay. And I was like, it's not okay. You know, and
right.
It's like there has to come a time in which something on the inside of your soul tells you this ain't it. It has to be something different. And if not, you know, you're going to stay sick. And so it's like we live in a very toxic society, and as a culture, it used to be a very village society and village culture, where my mother might give your mother some food. Your mother might spank my butt for hanging out in the streets. Girl, you being fast up in them little 18-year-old faces. You know, if we had a village mentality, and we lost that, and we lost it. And now we're where we're at, and everyone's wanting to say why and how do we get to be here? And it's like, like now I got boys in the house. I can't trust my boys around all these grown men, because these grown men look at my boys sometimes the same way they look at me. So it's like in the perversion of our culture, which is that's a conversation that's been there too with some of our great civil rights leaders too. The perversion of it all, in the level of profit over people. You know, where that somebody who's sitting as an executive, there's a certain rapper where people talk about it all the time, how they put their children out there, not to put their children out there like, oh, my children are great, but they're putting their children out there looking for the highest bidder, so it's like, where's the moral compass of it all? But that's what kids are supposed to aspire to be, so Tshaka, you said a mouthful when you said just a little bit about the culture and where we're at. So
You got to remember though, we just talked about being sent here at the appointed time, and I've been, I've been to hell and back, but to get to where I'm at today, if I had to go through all that again, I would, because those things shape and mold character. That
That's
pain,
right.
that frustration, that self-hatred, that low self-esteem, that wanting to fit in, that wanting to be accepted, that indulgence into the underworld, is a molding process. Because it's better to get to school early, than to leave late. Because if we hadn't gone through the hell that shaped and molded us, we wouldn't be the shining symbols of hope for people today. Because somebody's going to listen to this, and somebody's going to look at my story and your story and Doc's story, and it's going to give them something to think about. We don't indulge in these things, and as a result, we look at ourselves as being the blame for a lot of our misdeeds and everything. But you have to take it back. We are this is generational stuff. Remember when I don't know if you may have heard me say, as far as like the drill music. Now it's drill music, when it was just a rap music, and they was banging on each other, and then the killing started. But this music just didn't start, because if you remember a song by Wilson Pickett called Stagger Lee, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's called Stagger Lee. That was
Remember
about a
it.
man killing a man over a hat. And
Mm-hmm.
then you had Lil Walter. I mean, that stuff was, this stuff has been this same energy. Now that it has snowballed into it being out of control. Where we have a desire to annihilate one another. And I've dealt with youth. I mean, I've heard some hard stories, and a couple of times I've actually went to a parent's house with brother Harris Abdul, who's an ancestor now. He was the chief of staff of the street law soldiers. We actually went to some of these parents' house when we heard about the abuse that the fathers and mothers were putting on these children. I'm talking about sexual. And we went with golf clubs and some, and we gave a couple of fathers some ultimatums. You either attend these groups, or it's gonna be a part two to this. You know what I'm saying? Because this is, we are in a state of rage. This is why I'm saying there's no formal way. You cannot intellectualize your way through this. There's no formal way. When we pray, I always ask God, I pray that God destroys my enemies, because it appears, because we've been trained to be so forgiving, there's no way you can go on court, and blow my baby's head off, and I'm gonna stand up in court and say, I forgive you. I'm not at that. I don't think I would ever be at that level. I would never get there. I don't even want to get there, because it's some of us that gotta be dealt with on severity levels for the masses of us who are under the hypnosis to be awakened. Because we were awakened. We
That's
all
right.
had our low points in life. And then something came over us, whether it was tragic or whatever, to give us a change of heart and think in a different direction and try something different. And so the masses of our people are the same way, because, it's so many layers and levels to this that, we must come as the unit, like you said, Doc. We must come as one. We must come as one. And I admire you, Chantaye. You already know, you are a true example of what being fearless and relentless, and to, not being unapologetically Black, and not being ashamed of being a true woman, because that's what true womanhood consists of, in my eyes.
Amen. Amen.
You know what? I will say thank you. Thank you. So we have 3 minutes left. So we actually have 1 minute left. Doc, would you like to say something as a parting word?
Please.
Yes. Power to the people. We are one. We are one. Remember that. One.
We are one.
Yep, I'm right. I wrote that down. Now, Doc, what is the suite number? 56 what? To the office.
Suite 1056.
Oh, okay, 1056. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
And you have my number, don't you? My office number?
Yeah, I got it on my other pad. Yep, I do have the office number. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Awesome. Thank you again for having me on your show. Sister Chantaye, thank you again, okay?
You are welcome. And Tshaka, it's always a pleasure even being in your space. The revolution cannot be televised. We are gonna make history, and they can't get critical race theory to pass, but they're gonna get some of these cases that we are gonna impact in these law books. So how about that?
Yes,
so that, I'll see y'all next week. Thanks. It's been a great being with the both of you gentlemen tonight. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you now.
Like this.